Welcome. This is the Drupal usability meeting for July 7th, 2023. I'm Benji Fisher, moderating and sharing my screen, and also present are some of our regulars, Ralph Kohler and Simo Helston. And just for kicks, thought I would start off with something that I just noticed was fixed today. What does that say? Yeah, it was fixed earlier today, about 8 hours ago, and it's issue 3345149, an extra default value field when adding a field with unlimited values. So let's see, over here at the far right tab of my browser window, I have an installation of Drupal 9.5.10. It's the Umami demo profile. That's what I usually install for these meetings. And here we see the problem. The ingredients field is, I think, a text field. And in the default value, for some reason, there are 2 blank fields. And if I remember correctly, there's an older issue that got fixed not all that long ago, that when you're actually adding content, you would see something similar. But that seems to have been fixed a while ago, and now when you're adding content, there's only one. But that I hesitate to say that same problem, because the underlying problem is probably different because it didn't get saved at the same time. But I guess the same symptom seems to have persisted on the admin page to configure the default value. And now if I switch to a current site, I guess just look at the status report to see what version I'm running. 11.0 dev, so this is the head of Drupal development. This is what will become Drupal 10.2. So first of all, the defaults, is that the word I want for the collapsible field? It's not a field set. Is that a defaults element? Thing I had over here? That HTML. Yes. Defaults. Okay. For some reason I wasn't sure if that's been replaced by a checkbox. When you expand that, or I guess it hasn't. I guess the checkbox has been added. We still have the defaults element, but now there's only one. Yay! Only one blank box to put in ingredients. And I don't think any of us from the usability team had anything to do with this issue, but it is a usability improvement. It's nice to see a little bit of progress being made.
Could you show also adding a couple of those, a few default values, and removing one from in between? So adding 3 and removing the middle one.
Sure. Rice. And then I guess I have to click add another item. And potatoes. And lentils. Whoops.
Could you also test just to press return instead of clicking the add another item? If that adds something new or any reaction?
I'm banging on the enter key and nothing is happening.
Okay.
And then you want me to remove the middle one?
That's lovely. I've really been waiting to see that happen. It's always so annoying having you have to delete something from the middle, and then it kind of, because the old version doesn't have that remove button.
Right, the remove button isn't there at all.
Yeah, that's actually good, really nice improvement.
Yep. So the drop is always moving. With little steps, we're making things better. Okay, here's the issue for today's meeting, 337-3235. Since none of us has particular issues we have in mind, let's just have a look.
I've added the link to the issue from 2 weeks ago with the short list of issues.
So if I reload this page, will I see that?
No, in the chat, in the Zoom chat.
Okay. Well, let's have a look at the issues that need review. There are 11 of them. Last updated 4 years ago. Oh my gosh. I guess I'm looking not just at Drupal core, but also contrib modules. The oldest one from Drupal core is to remove outdated references to upgrade from core. And I think we looked at this one, the required Boolean field, last week, and I said I would leave a comment there, and I have not yet done that. But shall we have a look at this one?
Okay.
So this is issue 270-9507. Remove outdated references to upgrade from core. And it's a follow-up to a previous issue, rename Drupal upgrade UI to migrate Drupal UI. Well, that must be an old issue. Let's just have a quick look at when that was last updated. Last updated in 2016. So what does this say? Upgrading previously referred to using update.php to go from one major version to the next, and was distinguished from updating using update.php to go from one patch or minor version to the next. Second point, Drupal core no longer supports upgrading a site between major versions. Instead, core supports migrating content and configuration from an old Drupal 6 or 7 site into a separate Drupal 8 site. Well, that is was obviously written when this issue was created, hasn't been updated. And I guess it's just the jump from 7 or earlier to 8 or later that this applies to. Third point, the difference between upgrading and updating was always confusing to most people, including core devs, and migrate is a drastically different process, both internally and for site owners. And the fourth point, that issue we were just looking at, rename Drupal upgrade UI to migrate Drupal UI, fixes the name of the migrate Drupal UI module in this regard, but left behind some other uses of upgrade within the module. And the screenshot shows Drupal upgrade. The path/upgrade is referred to as upgrade form. And then the submit button on that page is to review the upgrade. There may be other stale references in core as well. The proposed resolution, find all instances of upgrade, upgrading, etc., and replace them with something else. The remaining tasks to be determined. We can change things within migrate in 8.1.x. Other changes may or may not be patch eligible. So I guess this was a question of what can be done in a minor version upgrade or what has to wait for a major version upgrade. User interface changes also to be determined. So at least we have a screenshot of after major update, home or upgrade, provide the information to access the Drupal site you want to upgrade. All right. So how are we going to evaluate this?
I've added it to the chat. Comment number 12 has the gist and the current consensus inside the issue.
Thank you. My original concern still remains. Creating a Drupal-specific distinction between the definitions of the synonyms update and upgrade is a usability problem. Someone should not have to have 15 years of Drupal experience to know that update secretly only means patch or minor level, whereas upgrade means major version. Redefining commonly used words to mean something different than their English definition and expecting users to remember the distinction isn't good UX. Instead, we should always just say what kind of update it is, or specify the versions being updated, upgraded from and to. People shouldn't have to refer to a handbook page to understand what we're saying. So that's XJM's opinion. Effulgencia agrees. He says, furthermore, the two words aren't exactly synonyms in plain English either. Update means to change to something newer. Upgrade means to change to something better. Whether or not newer versions of Drupal are also better versions of Drupal is subjective. And I think one could make a good case that new minor versions have more in them that's better for users than new major versions do. For what it's worth, I think we should only use the word update and qualify with major update or migrate where such qualification is necessary. So these comments, by the way, are from November 2021. Let me scroll up and look at the comment that asked for opinions. This was from Quiet One. I recall of lot of discussion, I guess that's typo. I recall a lot of discussion in Migrate Land about the terminology to use. One thing that was clear is that the user does not need to know it is migration under the hood, and that term was not to be used. The outcome was this. Upgrading a Drupal site means a change of major version, for example, from Drupal 6 to Drupal 8, or from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8. This documentation guide is about upgrading a Drupal 6 or 7 site to Drupal 8 or later version. Updating a Drupal site means an update from one minor version to another, for example, from 8.0.2 to 8.3.0. Please refer to updating a Drupal site for more information on updating. Quiet One gives a link to the documentation pages. I think those definitions are now used and the initial confusion has waned. I did some searching in core, and of course there are lots of instances of the word upgrade. What I could find in user-facing text looked correct to me. I would go as far as suggesting that this can be closed as outdated because of the well-advertised definitions. Setting to needs review for opinions. And then there are the opinions we just read. And Steve S. Musgrave suggests changing it from a task to a plan.
Just did a grep on Drupal core, some 10 version, to see where upgrade appears. And one place where we're, I think, what's the word? Like we always use it consistently, yeah. One place where we consistently use upgrade is with upgrade path from one mod version to other. So upgrade path is something that where we always use upgrade. I didn't notice it's mentioned here. So we use upgrade in a specific places with module versions. So upgrading from CKH4 to CKH5, that's something that's mentioned in core, at least.
Okay. So we have a difference of opinion here, and I guess we as the usability team have to arbitrate. Let me follow up on those links that Quiet One provided. And this is the current documentation. Oh, it looks as though I am one of the maintainers of this guide. And I know that Quiet One put a lot of effort into reorganizing and updating these guide pages. I guess maybe it's not so recent anymore, but probably within the last year. And there are two separate guides. I think they have links to each other. I guess this one was not updated anytime recently, but this one, so this guide has sections covering major version upgrades of Drupal core, from Drupal 6 to Drupal 9 or Drupal 9 to Drupal 10. There are separate instructions for minor and patch version site updates. So as Quiet One said, the documentation does currently make a distinction between upgrading and updating. And so XJM and Effulgencia think that we should not make such a distinction. Yes, here's the related content is updating Drupal. The short description of that page is upgrading your site between Drupal minor versions. And related content is the migrate API. As Quiet One said, we sort of try to hide that fact in migrate Drupal UI, that this upgrade from Drupal 6 or 7 to a current version uses the migrate API, but we try not to make that too obvious. Go ahead, Ralph.
It's definitely confusing having the distinction between update and upgrade. There I agree. And for example, in the screenshot in comment number 14 in the issue, where we have in the H1 major updates, and in the breadcrumb navigation you have upgrade instead. Maybe it wasn't up.
Talking about this screenshot?
Yeah, exactly. You have major update and then home upgrade. That is something confusing. And maybe if already major and minor is being used, and due to the fact that it's semantic versioning, wouldn't it be easier to just go with major update and minor updates and leave out patch updates in the naming in the UI and just make the distinction between major and minor, and keep the update consistent across the board?
I think that's exactly what Effulgencia was suggesting in 13. This last sentence. I think we should only use the word update
okay.
and qualify with major update or migrate where such qualification is necessary. So I think that's exactly what you're saying.
I just don't understand what Effulgencia means with migrate in that context. is it also a major or minor migrate, or I'm not very familiar with migration, therefore the question.
So a major update would include going from Drupal 7 to Drupal 10, and would also include going from Drupal 9 to Drupal 10. Those would both be major updates in this proposal. But some major updates going from Drupal 6 or Drupal 7 to anything later are also migrations or migrate updates. And there are contexts where we have to make that distinction. So he's suggesting something like a migrate update.
Oh, okay. Okay. But I would be definitely in line with the major minor update. And in regards of migrate update, I have not a clear or a strong opinion because I'm not informed enough.
So let's see, I just reinstalled the site. Ha ha ha. So I had installed the Umami demo profile. Let me share that link in Zoom chat. And oh, I forgot when I reinstalled one step. All right, now the admin password is admin. And since I do also do a lot of work with migration, I think I've set up this site to work with migration. Here we go. So under configuration development, there's a link to the upgrade form. The path is upgrade. The page title is upgrade. And let's see. Second step in this form is also labeled Drupal upgrade. And review the upgrade in this submit button at the bottom. I wasn't expecting that. Go ahead.
One thought, when seeing those pages right now, I wonder, would it make sense to just use major update, and for all the other patches and minor updates, just say update? And that way it's more significant that major update is something, in air quotes, special, and the rest is more the regular update. So basically replacing upgrade with major update and leave the rest as is.
So it is a major upgrade, but it's also different from a major upgrade like 9 to 10. So are you now suggesting keeping the word upgrade for
No, not upgrade. I meant
major update.
Just major update. I just meant not bring in minor as well, and just let stand the major update stand out with a prepended word major and signify that way it's something different than the regular update. I was just worried a little bit in case of patch updates you have also, and those are missing. So that way you have major, minor, and patch, and with bringing in major and minor, patches would be left out. And if you just use major and leave the others as one. That was the idea, to not to burden the regular user too much with terminology and different types.
We could also start using Finnish as the core language, because we only have one word.
Well, there would no doubt be some advantages, but I'm afraid that's too big a change for the three of us to recommend seriously. So it would certainly be a simple matter to change, upgrade wherever we find it, to update. We would then have to update the documentation once again to make the corresponding changes. And so I guess the core question is, do we go with the opinion of XJM and Effulgencia that it's better not to use upgrade and update to mean different things, and instead to talk about major updates versus minor updates and patch updates, and just use one of those two words consistently? Is that better? Or is it better to do what Quiet One suggests and continue to make a distinction between update and upgrade? And I guess, Ralph, unless you've changed your mind, you've already said you agree with what Effulgencia said. Simo, are you prepared to give an opinion on this question?
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, actually using just one word is, I think it would make sense. But also for me, it would feel more natural to use upgrade and not update, because somehow for me update feels like something that you can do with content, or you can do with kind of refresh is close to update, and upgrade is something that when you change some of the code and stuff like that. So that's kind of how it feels to me, how I'm used to thinking about it.
Right.
Also,
And just a couple of minutes ago, I talked about updating the documentation, which is clearly a content change. So you agree that we should use a single word. And I think that's your primary recommendation, and it's a secondary recommendation that one word be upgrade rather than update.
yeah, it feels more natural to me for this context.
So I guess I'm leaning towards using a single word as well. And I think I might agree with you that upgrade is better than update. Can we do more than just express our opinions, our preferences? Can we tie this to any of the standard ideas that apply to usability, discoverability, mental maps, how they're used in other contexts? Can we sort of give some sort of really convincing explanation for why it's better to use the single word?
Hmm. .
technology that's used when your mobile phone or your laptop or desktop operating system gets a new version? What terminology do they use?
I think it's update. You have updates.
Yeah, Windows certainly has automatic updates, and I have dual boot computers, and I normally work in Linux, and every so often I need to boot to Windows, and the first thing I do is go to the automatic updates page. So yes, that certainly updates. What is Linux? Software update is the application I have.
Yeah, and actually Linux does have this, at least with apt, you have update and upgrade. So upgrade updates there. For at least for Ubuntu. So, or it's dist upgrade. Update updates the repositories, checks the repositories, and I think upgrade updates the package, like the installation, installed stuff.
Let's do a quick search.
In macOS, you have software update, and there's a distinction. Currently, I'm on macOS 12, and there's versions 13 available, and I have updates available for version 12 and the update to version 13. If I check the updates for 12, I have the Install Now button, and the update to version 13, I have the Upgrade Now button. But overall, it's called Update. So also different terminology across the board.
Okay, let me just copy this text that Simo gave us, and just for the sake of being able to read it, I'll paste it into whatever text field I have available. In a nutshell, apt-get update updates the package index files, whereas apt-get upgrade upgrades the actual packages installed on your system. Using apt-get update and apt-get upgrade is essential for keeping your Linux system up to date with the latest package releases. So clearly, Ubuntu is making a distinction between the two words. When I search for Ubuntu upgrade, when can I upgrade? Ubuntu users are prompted to upgrade at different times, depending on their current release. I think this is talking about going from one release to the next, from 21.10 to 22.04, if you like to upgrade every 6 months, or going from 22.04 long-term support to 25.04 in a couple of years. That would be the next long-term support version, I think. So yes, although there is the software updater, which handles, as Simo was saying, getting the current version of all installed packages, but not going from one big version to the next. What's this other thing that you pasted into?
Yeah,
chat?
I was. This is just that there is a, for that apt command, there is a, in addition to upgrade, there is dist upgrade.
And both upgrade and dist upgrade are used for upgrading the installed packages on system. However, apt-get upgrade commands cannot install a new package or remove an installed package from the system. Dist upgrade, on the other hand, can install new packages or remove existing packages if required. And what's this link that Ralph gives us? This is for Composer. Where they're synonyms, is that right?
Yeah, exactly. Basically an alias upgrade.
And you can abbreviate either one to U, I guess.
Yeah. I just thought it maybe would be an idea to adjust the terminology slightly to what Composer is using, or maybe Symfony, or maybe semantic versioning in general, since Drupal is using Composer as a recommended way to manage things.
And if I search for Windows Update, I of course get lots of results. What happens if I search for Windows Upgrade? Well, we have the Upgrade Assistant, how to get Windows 11, update Windows, update Assistant, upgrade from Windows 8.1 to Windows 10 or 11. That's surprisingly not as old as I would have thought. It's from 2022. Yes, you can still get a free Windows 10 upgrade. Here's how to upgrade from Windows to Windows 10 from Windows 7 for free. So go ahead.
Yeah, in SymphonyCon Brussels 2023, it looks like there was a there is I find documentation page for upgrading a major version of Symfony, and that page uses updating and upgrading a bit mixed.
Yeah.
So certainly in Ubuntu and maybe also in Windows, just based on this little search page. And thank you for the link. So Symfony upgrading a major version, deprecations. And then just looking at this table of contents in the left sidebar, there's update to the new major version via Composer, updating recipes, update your code, and then upgrading to Symfony 6 at the bottom.
But also under update to new major version via Composer, there is a subsection upgrading other packages.
Yes. So that seems to be using both terms interchangeably, or is there some consistency on this page? I guess upgrading a major version, the page title at the top, and then this link at the bottom also uses upgrading to Symfony 6. But this number 2 in the table of contents is update to the new major version. I don't see any consistency there. So, Ralph, what did you say was the terminology used by macOS?
In macOS, the whole complex is called software update. For minor updates and patch updates, it uses just in the list of available updates, it just uses the install now button. And in regards, if there is a major update, I get a dedicated widget shown with the upgrade now button. Only in that context, it signifies that is something special in comparison to the regular updates available you are able to install.
Okay, I think that's a valuable thing to add to the discussion. So do either of you want to change your mind based on this and stick with the upgrade update distinction to be consistent with how it's used by our operating systems?
I'm actually starting to feel that we could use the same terminology that Composer uses, meaning that we say update, but you can also say upgrade if you want. So this is really kind of it feels like it's confusing in other places as well. So we could, I think we could recommend one term, but allow the other.
Names, but try to use one of them consistently.
Yeah. But I think hard distinction between what is upgrading and what is updating, it seems to be confusing. So it should be kind of a one thing. So we shouldn't, at least we shouldn't expect the users to know from a specific word, like from either of the words, what it actually does. So there should be more information. So not just upgrade or update, because that doesn't tell enough for kind of a random user.
So if we would mostly use the word update, then we would, you're saying we should still talk about major updates and minor updates. But if we also use upgrade path, we should not worry too much about it because we are treating it as a synonym.
Yeah. I think upgrade path is something, it's a kind of a like they make a whole term,
A commonly used phrase.
yeah. So I don't know, I don't think I ever heard update path.
That does sound sort of unfamiliar.
Yeah.
Benji,
Yeah.
do you have one installation running with version 9.x?
Yes.
By any chance?
So here, this one, which is just local DDEV, is running 9.5.10.
Okay, because I wonder, because the pattern macOS uses with the dedicated widget showing there is a major new version might be in it's not it's something for a follow-up issue, but it might be useful to tell explicitly that there is a major version available, because I'm not sure if it is explicitly shown somewhere.
Well, are you talking, whoops, are you talking about this? If I run cron, it should check for updates. And so this tells me that this version of Drupal core has security coverage through November of 2023. It advises me to update to a supported minor version soon. And it doesn't seem to mention anywhere that Drupal 10 is available, does it? That's sort of odd.
Yeah.
Of course, if I go to available updates, it will tell me that I'm currently running 9.5.10, which is up to date, but also available is 10.1.1. Oh, released yesterday. I missed that. I'll have to check at see what changed in 10.1.1. But the available updates tell me about this new version. Even though it's a major version update. Okay, any other things we should look at for comparison? Any references we want to check? I know, I think one of you often refers to the Nielsen group for usability questions.
Yeah. I don't recall those some anything about those terms.
Okay.
It's just in general, like the general guide is to stick to the conventions, and it looks like we don't have a strong convention here.
Okay. Okay, I think we have some consensus here. Yeah, it has less weight than it would if we had a larger group in on this discussion. But I think the agreement is that we should not rely on the distinction between update and upgrade to convey information. We should make it explicit and talk about major or minor. That there is precedent in operating systems for making a distinction between updates and upgrades, but we should be explicit. And we should not try to eradicate the word upgrade. We'll want to keep upgrade path because that's a commonly used phrase. And if we leave the word upgrade in some places, that should be okay. We should consider it to be a synonym, and we should try to be explicit whenever it matters, whether we're talking about a minor update or a major update, or we could even use minor upgrade and major upgrade, if that's okay, as long as we if it matters whether it's minor or major, we should use the word minor or major. I feel like I'm repeating myself, but is that our consensus, or do you disagree with any part of that? I'm getting a thumbs up from Simo.
Also, oops.
And a thumbs up from Ralph. Okay. And let me find some time to write that out without repetition. And both of you feel free to add comments either before or after I get to it. And we'll see where we go from there. And there are 5 minutes left before the hour, but I'm inclined to just end the meeting 5 minutes early, or rather than try to squeeze something else in. Agree, disagree?
Agree.
Yeah. Agree.
Okay. Thank you. Not entirely sure I'll be able to do the meeting next week, but if not, I'll try to recruit someone else to run the meeting.
Okey-doke. And then have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Nice weekend. Yeah. Bye.
Bye bye.